guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allie and this is The Adventures of Mally. On this channel, I love to share all my adventures with you, including up north at our cabin with my husband Matt and my expertise and love of all things Disney. If you're a returning friend, welcome back. If you are new to my channel, I encourage you to join our adventure family by hitting that subscribe button down below. So I decided to do a surprise vlog. I don't normally post 2 times a week, and I kind of have been lately, and just this week I decided to just do a big surprise vlog because my friend Liz Zitney lives out in California and she actually lives in Anaheim. So they are annual pass holders for Disneyland. And they recently, her and her husband and her little boy recently got to experience the opening of Disneyland's Rise of the Resistance ride. This has been the most talked about ride. I've been watching a lot of vlogs at the Walt Disney World version of it because Walt Disney World opened in December. But it's really exciting for me because Liz is a very good friend of mine, and so she kind of took me along on her journey. She sent me a bunch of videos, she was texting me, and then we had a long conversation over the phone the next day all about it. So it was really the first time that I got to kind of hear firsthand what her experiences were with it and everything like that. So I consider her my California correspondent. So because of that, she sent me a bunch of video and things like that, and so I decided it would be kind of fun to do a vlog on it. This vlog is going to be mainly how to get a boarding group for Rise of the Resistance ride. The line system is a little bit different for the Walt Disney World version and the Disneyland version than your typical like fast pass or just typical regular line with all the other rides at the theme parks. And I have been getting a lot of questions from people on Facebook who are going to Disney World just recently and want to check out this new ride. And a lot of people actually don't know how to get into a boarding group or how to get a boarding pass, or that they need to even go on the app and how it works. So I thought it would be kind of a good idea to use some of her information that she gave me as well as some of her video that she gave me and kind of talk about what is this whole boarding group thing? What is this virtual queue thing? How do I do this? So hopefully it helps somebody else down the road if they go to Disney World, Disneyland in the next couple months, or maybe in the next year. How do you navigate this ride? So that is what this whole vlog is going to be about. So before we get into the meat and potatoes, I'm gonna give you a little background. So Walt Disney World, so Rise of the Resistance is a Star Wars ride. It's in the new land. So Disneyland and Walt Disney World both have Star Wars lands called Galaxy's Edge. Rise of the Resistance is probably the flagship ride for Galaxy's Edge. It was highly publicized. It was highly, a lot of people were talking about it on vlogs, on articles, that this was going to be the ride of all rides and that it was even going to surpass Flight of Passage, which is in Animal Kingdom. I've never ridden on it. I don't know whether it is better than Flight of Passage. I don't know, but just based on some of the vlogs that I'm seeing and some of the feedback, I really truly think that this is the ride of all rides. I think that this takes theme park rides up to another level. So because of that, it is highly sought after. The line, Disney was anticipating the lines getting very long. So Rise of the Resistance opened in Walt Disney World on December 5th, and then it opened in Disneyland on January 17th, okay? So when it opened in Walt Disney World, the Florida version, they did something different with the line system. I think they kind of learned from Hagrid's Motorbike, which is a roller coaster in Universal Studios in Florida. They learned from that experience because when that ride first opened, I think that was in like what, July, I think, I don't know. When that ride first opened in Universal Studios, there was talks that there was like 8-hour lines because it was so popular. So I think Disney kind of learned from that experience, and they didn't want that for people. They didn't want people to have to sit in line for 8 hours. So Walt Disney World, when Rise of the Resistance opened in Florida, they started a virtual queue system. So what this means is that you showed up to the park, you scanned your Magic Band, walked into Hollywood Studios. So as soon as your Magic Band was scanned, you were able to go on the My Disney Experience app and join a boarding group. And then from there, you just kind of went around and you did whatever you want, and then they went through, so it's kind of like a virtual, like it held your place in line. Then you get a notification back saying, okay, your group is boarding, and that person or that party had a whole 2 hours to get to Rise of the Resistance ride to get into the line. So it kind of makes sense, like just a virtual queue or a virtual line. In the very beginning on December 5th, when Walt Disney World started doing this, it was whoever scanned, it was like first come, first serve, whoever scanned into the park or scanned their Magic Band into the park first, they were able to get a boarding pass right away. Well, they've since learned that that kind of didn't work because they were having people show up to the park like 2 hours ahead of time. So they have since changed it that you can show up to the park whenever you, I mean, you can show up 2 hours ahead of time. It still doesn't mean you're gonna get a better chance of getting a boarding pass versus somebody else. If the park opens at 8 o'clock is when everybody has the opportunity to get that boarding pass. It's not really a first come, first serve. It's everybody has an opportunity at 8. So if you come at 6 in the morning, you still gotta wait 2 hours to get your boarding pass. If you come at 7, you only have to wait an hour. So they kind of have since learned and changed that. So with that being said, when Disneyland opened up their version of Rise of the Resistance on January 17th, they started doing that right away. It was, yep, everybody gets their boarding pass at the same time. So I think Disneyland kind of learned from Walt Disney World's trial and error stuff. So now that I gave you a little bit of background and history on like Walt Disney World and Disneyland and when they both opened and stuff like that, I'm gonna tell you how does this boarding pass work. Well, you are eligible to get a boarding pass for Rise of the Resistance. In other words, you're eligible to get into the virtual queue as soon as you scan your Magic Band through the turnstiles and as soon as the park officially opens. Like I had said before, if you scan your Magic Band at 7 a.m. and you get into the park, but the park officially doesn't open till 8 a.m., you gotta wait an hour before you can do it. You do it on your app. So the My Disney Experience app, you've heard me talk about it many times before. So that's how you get into a boarding group is you do it on your smartphone on the app. They do have guest service kiosks that you can do it that way if you're one of those people that don't have a smartphone. So they have that capability of, you know, you can do it through guest services, but the easiest way is doing it on your app. So once the park opens, you get on the app, you get a group number or a boarding group number. Then you and your entire party wait for your number to get called. So while you're waiting for that, you can do whatever you want. You could go ride other rides, you can get other fast passes, you can go eat. You can even leave Hollywood Studios and go back to your resort or hotel and take a nap, because once you get that notification that your boarding group is ready to get in line for the ride, you have a full 2 hours to make it back to Hollywood Studios. That's a long time. And especially with the Skyliner now from like Hollywood Studios to Epcot, like you could just hop a Skyliner and zip on over to Epcot, really. Take advantage of a festival that's going on there, and then once you get your notification, 2 hours is plenty of time to get back and hop in that line for Rise of the Resistance. One thing I did want to mention is that if you have 4 people in your party, every single person that wants to ride that ride has to be scanned into the park. So you can't have one person be that designated person to scan their Magic Band in the park and then get the boarding pass for everybody in their party while the rest of you guys like sit at home back at the resort and chill out. No. If you have people that want to ride the ride, they all have to get up and they all have to scan their Magic Band in at the turnstiles. So an important thing to mention. So now that you kind of know the gist of how the boarding pass or virtual queue works and using My Disney Experience and just the basics on how to get it, I'm going to tell you a little bit, some strategies that Liz has told me, and then also some strategies that I've heard elsewhere, okay? Tip number 1, get to the park, which when I say get to the park, it means like to security, because remember, every single park has security, and sometimes the security lines can be quite lengthy because they need to check your bags. So get to that security at least 1 hour before the park opens. More than likely, they will let you into the park early. So let's say the park opens at 8 a.m. You get to security at 7 a.m. and say you get to the turnstiles at 7:15 and you're into the park by 7:30. Technically, yes, Hollywood Studios isn't open till 8, but they will let you in early. Now remember, even though you're there at 7:30, you still gotta wait a half an hour before you can join that boarding group, because you can't get the boarding group on the My Disney Experience app until official park opening time. But it's important to get to security at least 1 hour, or maybe even a little bit more depending on, like, if it's a Saturday, to give yourself enough time. You can also like just go to Starbucks and like grab a Starbucks while you're waiting, so that's cool too. Make sure that you have the My Disney Experience app ready to go. Make sure that everybody who is part of your party or part of your group who wants to ride the ride is loaded into your app. Make sure that your tickets are connected to the app. Make sure that's ready to go, because you don't want to be messing with that at 8 a.m. when the park opens, because then you're going to lose out on your opportunity. So make sure that you communicate with your group to figure out, okay, who wants to ride the ride, who doesn't, and make sure you have that all figured out and your app is all ready to go. Make sure that if you are in a group of 4 people, and say it's just 4 friends, you got to make sure that you guys are all linked so that you're all under the same My Disney Experience app. It's gonna be really difficult if all 4 of you end up doing it separately, and say you all 4 of you get different boarding groups. So there is a way that you guys can link all your My Disney Experience apps or accounts together so you're all under one My Disney Experience account. Another tip is, and this is what Liz did with her husband Matt, have more than one person try to get a boarding group. Liz was really lucky. Their park opened, I think, at 9 a.m., but they had an Oga's Cantina reservation at 8 a.m., so they were able to get into the park, and then they sat at Oga's, and they were able to go on the app while they were sitting at Oga's. So Liz and her husband Matt actually ended up going onto the app at the same time to attempt to get the boarding group, and I've heard that this works. She didn't get one, but her husband did. So if you think about it, they had double the chances and double the opportunities. So if you have more than one person that has that My Disney Experience app on their phone, have multiple people try. Wi-Fi can sometimes be a little sketchy in the parks. I've heard communications that sometimes it works really well, sometimes it doesn't. And if you think about how many people are trying to get boarding groups right at 8 a.m. for this highly coveted ride, you can imagine that the Wi-Fi might get a little bogged down. So if it was me personally, I probably would just use my data. But just think, like, so many people are using the Disney Wi-Fi at 8 a.m. to get that boarding pass that maybe there's a possibility that it could be a little sketchy. I have read that some people are recommending that you do a hard close, so like, you know how you can force stop of the My Disney Experience app, maybe a few minutes prior to the park opening or prior to you being able to go in and get a boarding pass. Some people have said that the app gets a little wonky if you don't do that force stop. So I'm assuming you guys all know what I mean. So you have certain apps, and so just because you close it out doesn't mean that it's actually not stopping. Sometimes apps kind of run in the background. So they say maybe like 5 minutes prior to the park opening, you go in and you force stop the My Disney Experience app, so it's kind of like you're starting fresh and starting clean. This has kind of been hit or miss. Some people say, nope, it's fine. Liz said that she didn't really do that and they were fine. But I've heard some people say that sometimes it just gets a little wonky. So I don't know, if it was me, I'd probably just 5 minutes before do the force stop just to like make sure everything is like cleared out of there. And then last but not least, the important thing is remain calm. And I totally understand like being so excited. You really want to ride this ride, you know, and just you have all these people around you also doing the same thing. It's kind of an exciting time. Remain calm. Everything will be fine if you remain calm and stick to your plan and have good communication with the people that you're traveling with. All will be fine. But if everybody remains calm and you have a good game plan and you communicate well with everybody in your party, everything will go swimmingly. So that's it. That is my blog about Rise of the Resistance and how to get a boarding pass. So let me know, have you ridden the ride before? And if you have, I'm really jealous. I'm hoping to get back there this year so I can ride the ride. It just looks absolutely amazing. Like I said, I think it has taken theme park rides to the next level. And when I chatted with Liz the very next day after she was the opening, she even said so herself that It was probably one of the most amazing experiences she went on, and she took her little boy on it, and she was really afraid that he wouldn't like it, but he loved it too. So I'm just so excited for her that she got to experience it, and I'm very happy that she filled me in and provided me with those vlogs. So thank you, Liz Zitney, for doing that. I really appreciate that because I just love hearing other people's experiences with it. So tell me in the comments below, have you ridden the ride and what do you think? And I hope that you have found this vlog useful if you are planning a future Walt Disney World or a Disneyland trip. I hope that you have learned something as far as how to get a boarding pass and that you are able to utilize some of these tips, tricks, and strategies. So until next time, I will see you real soon. Bye.
Recruits, thank you for joining the cause. A covert resistance team led by my friend Finn has infiltrated a First Order Star Destroyer that is now headed to this system. Your outpost on Batuu is no longer safe. We have transports waiting to take you to General Organa's secret base on Pucara.